Next on the College Rugby Wrap-Up, the NCR Women's All-Star Sevens recap, NCR Men's All-15s All-Tournament team, and CRAA Men's and Women's Spring Preview featuring Olivia Benzan-Daniel. Rugby Wrap-Up brought to you in part by YEEEHAAAWWWW Auto Stores. It's easy at YEEEEH. The Pig and Whistle, the world's best rugby pub, and Lean and Limber, stretching your way to a healthier lifestyle. Well, hi, everybody, and welcome back to this week's College Rugby Wrap-Up, here with Mr. Zach Lanning, Mr. Colby Marshall, and Mr. Josh Rescio, who is up in an ungodly hour taking one for the team. Gentlemen, we had another big weekend in college rugby, and we got to fill the folks in, and we don't need to do any banter, so let's get right to it. Zach, why don't you walk us through the NCR All-Star Weekend on the women's side?
Sure thing, guys. Yeah, another great weekend of rugby down in Houston at Aveva Stadium. You had the Women's Sevens All-Star Challenge for the NCR. So you had two divisions, a D1 and small college, with 8 teams in each coming together, competing for that championship trophy down in Houston. A lot of great college talent assembling together. Day one of that tournament, you know, the one big story from the men's championship the weekend before was the weather. Not as intense for the women's tournament this time around. With the wind, at least, it was a little less windy out there. Still very cold, though, and you could tell on day one a few handling errors from teams still trying to get a handle on it. I think it was in the 30s from what I heard from the commentary team. So not a super pleasant day down in Houston, but still, you know, a little easier conditions with the wind. But yeah, as I mentioned, you know, D1, small college, 8 teams in these 2 brackets. Each team played 3 pool matches on day one, plus a 4th quarterfinal match to qualify for the semis on Sunday. So a lot of rugby on that first day. And really the biggest surprise to come out of that day is this upstart Texas team on the D1 side of things.
Yeehaw! Hound dog, blue suede shoes. Oh, that's Nashville. Sorry, same thing, isn't it? Though, but go ahead, keep going. There, Zach. In
honor of John Layfield, Texas Lone Star All-Stars in D1, didn't win a single pool match, but they did end up defeating a Great Waters side in the quarterfinals to move on to the semis on Sunday. So on day 2, the D1 bracket, the semifinal matchups consisted of a battle of the middle between Mid-America and the Midwest.
What's the difference between the Midwest and Mid-America?
One is Middle America, and the other is the middle of the West of America.
Okay, good answer. So you don't know either. Continue.
And then on the other side, the top-seeded upstate New York side took on that plucky Texas team playing in their home state. Midwest beat Mid-America 20-7 in that semifinal, thanks to two tries from one of my players of the tournament, Sierra Rose Stannerson-Edwards from UNI. And then Texas, again, shocking the rugby world by dispatching this upstate New York team 20-5 behind a hat trick from standout winger Juliana Hastreeder from Baylor. And some strong running and defense from Immaculate Owera, who has played 15s and 7s for her native Kenya. So in the final, and the D1 side of things between Midwest and the Texas team, Stannerson-Edwards kicked things off with a long try early, but it was all Texas after that, as Persephone Alicia from the University of Texas took over the game, scoring a long try of her own, and then shutting down 2 long breaks by the Midwest, who didn't score again until the final minutes when Stannerson-Edwards' teammate from UNI, Maggie Rogers, dotted one down. Alicia's effort was aided by 2 tries from her University of Texas teammate, standout scrum half Julia Norwood, and Texas took home the trophy with a final score of 17-10.
Persephone Alicia is a great name. Did I say that correct?
Persephone Alicia.
Persephone, that's even better. That is a great rugby name right there.
The tournament was chock full of great names. Electra Cheney. There was a player named Sharkey. There was just a lot of really solid rugby names in this tournament. But much like Prince Louis Bush IV backed up his name with great play, Persephone Alicia was definitely a star in this match and throughout the tournament for this Texas team.
Great stuff. Keep going. Bring us more. Come on.
Yeah, on the small college side of things, Great Waters was a surprise team of the tournament, upsetting an up to that point undefeated Northern Lights team in the semifinal 14-10. But their reward for that victory was a finals matchup with a red-hot Eastern Pennsylvania Rugby Union side that had just run through reigning champion Colonial Coast and had gone undefeated in pool play, which is extra impressive because they only had 11 players on their side, so not a lot of subbing in and out. And that's
11 players for 7.
11 players. Yes, yeah.
Wow.
So you're talking about a lot of tired legs. That's probably 7 or 8 games of sevens, which, as anyone who's ever attempted to play sevens for a tournament knows, that could be pretty tough to do. So
I played 2 minutes of one sevens game at the New York Sevens tournament. Does that stack up?
Yeah, just do that probably 20 or 30 more times, Matt, and you will have equaled the output for this Eastern Pennsylvania team. But they didn't look fatigued at all in the final matchup against Great Waters. Great Waters did get things going, got on the board first, but the playmaking skills of Eastern Pennsylvania's Sierra Sharkey and Hannah Plotkin, along with tournament MVP Morgan Madia, who put in 2 tries in this match, were ultimately too much for Great Waters to handle, and EPRU won 22-7.
More great names. Let's let you catch your breath and bring in Colby and have him give us the NCR Men's All-Star All-Tournament team. Colby, you still with us?
Yeah, man. I mean, just when you thought it couldn't get any better, that great event 2 weekends ago, we got nominations for the top players from the NCR All-Tournament event that would happen 2 weeks ago. You know, with an event that featured over 330 players from, 150 schools, 24 players were nominated as the best that showed up and showed out. So I want to get into some of the names. Mike Weir, the fly half from Dartmouth, who played for the New England Independents that won the championship. He's going to be spearheading this all-tournament first team at the fly half position. Then from top to bottom, we got Josh Napora from the University of Nebraska. He played for the Midwest team. Marshall Frank from Queens University from Southeast. Hudson Montgomery from Thomas More University from Mid-Atlantic. Oliver Corbett from Brown University, New England. Logan McDaniel, Humboldt State University, Pacific Coast. Andrew McCallum, Siena College, Tri-State team. Robinson Malcolm from Dartmouth College, New England. Thomas Casares, Thomas More University, Mid-Atlantic. At scrum half, Sebastiano Villani from the reigning NCR D1 national champions, St. Bonaventure Bonnies. At 11, Jacob Jenkins from Cal, Mike Ware at fly half, of course. Luke Teixeira at number 12 from UNC Chapel Hill. Patilla Vituve at number 13 from Adrian College. Tino Makutsta Chipfumbo from Wheeling University at number 14, and Milan Van Wyck at the number 15 from New Mexico Tech.
Shake and Jake Jenkins and Marshall Frank were 2 of my favorite players to watch. Marshall Frank, easy for me to say, is this throwback kind of prototype old school player. He's as tall as he is wide, and he is one. I've said it before. He's one of those rolling pianos. When he just, he's not going to win people's attention on the beach with his big chiseled body, but he is just one of these solid kind of bowling ball type players. And anytime he had the ball rambling, it was great to watch. Anything else, Colby?
Yeah, also want to run through a few all-tournament honorable mentions from the weekend. Kakoa Kawe from Kutztown University, played for Mid-Atlantic. Nolan Buckley from UMass Lowell, played for New England White. Leo Clayberg from Norwich University, played for New England White. Ethan Doumbé from St. Bonaventure University, played for Tri-State. Alvaro Borrego from Northeastern University, from the New England squad. Michael Jansen from the University of Wisconsin Stout, from the Midwest team. Mark Mutuku from Notre Dame College, from the Great Lakes squad. Devin McGee, Sonoma State University, played for the Pacific Coast team. And finally, Noah Mills from Citadel Southeast squad.
Anybody from Wisconsin Stout call Guinness about a potential sponsorship deal?
Not that I'm aware of. I don't spend too much time down in Wisconsin. So
you got to spend more time in Wisconsin.
No, I don't think so. There's not much up for me. There's not much there for me.
Great cheese, I've been told.
Great cheese. And a bitter Aaron Rodgers, figuratively and literally, in Green Bay. Zach, did you want to say something?
I'm going to say, Matt, they frown upon having alcohol or, alcoholic beverage companies sponsor college programs. As someone who has a podcast named The Drink Hub, you run into that problem pretty often.
College teams, Matt, they don't drink. These guys are focused on their game day in and day out.
I forget, when I was in college in the 1800s, the drinking age was 6. So there's a difference for me. All right. Zach, let's go back to you, and we'll get the NCR WASPTWs, the Women's All-Star players to watch.
Probably have to workshop that a little bit more, Matt, but I'm with you on it. We'll go through. There are a lot of great names.
It's a world of acronyms. It's just another acronym that we need.
We don't want to add any more to the rugby landscape. There's already too many acronyms out there. We should just say everything in its final form. But the names I mentioned earlier, throughout were some great players as well in those final matches. Outside of that, a couple players from each division caught my eye. Just shout them out here. On the small college side of things, Allie Banks, the senior from my neck of the woods at UMaine Farmington. She played for Colonial Coast, and she was just a beast out there. She was a 5-tool player, as you were saying, in our men's special. She could really do it all out there. She had the size and the speed, and she was the playmaker for Colonial Coast side, distributing the ball, scoring tries on her own, playing great defense. She was everywhere for that team and really showed something out there. Also on the small college side of things, Eden Liebenthal, the senior from the University of South Dakota who played for Prairie State's team. Again, somebody who was just a spark plug for their team, was constantly on the ball, around the ball, facilitating for her teammates, scoring. A lot of really great chase down tackles by her in the sweeper position. She's playing great defense for that Prairie State squad. Really showed out. She should be somebody teams should keep an eye on. A lot of WPL players were there. Women's Premier League players were acting as refs. In the booth, there was Darian Lovelace, who was a WPL player. So, some of these players may be looking for a chance in the WPL, or PR7s may be interested in some of these players as well for their next season of sevens, professional sevens. Just a couple other names for small college players to shout out. Electra Cheney, Amanda Williams, Grace Vanderzee, and Claire Engman really stood out to me as well.
What about D1 players?
So yeah, on the D1 side, Isabel Robinson, Izzy Robinson was a standout player for me, a senior from Wayne State. She's actually from Australia, but was playing for a Mid-America side here. She is a very interesting case because she actually played prop for Wayne State in their 15s championship and was the player of the tournament there. And here for sevens, she was playing scrum half. So she is really multi-talented, multifaceted player. Was again facilitating for her team. She was the playmaker. Everything kind of flowed through her on offense. She was against stalwart in defense as well. So she's definitely somebody that you want to keep an eye on for future teams. She's got a great athletic profile and obviously is able to handle the ball as well as kind of perform in the physical areas of the match as well. And the next name for the D1 side of things, Grace Bryson, the senior from University of Minnesota. She was playing for the Midwest. Didn't mention her in the championship recap, but she really stood out for me throughout the tournament for that Midwest side, scoring tries, doing the dirty work, turning the ball over in rucks and sevens, which is huge, for those sevens matches. Just really, never shying away from any sort of physical contact or anything, and just helping her team. One of those players is just a great asset to have on the pitch, willing to kind of do anything to help your team win, and then also being able with the speed and the breakaway speed to be able to score for her team as well. Then just a couple other names on that list: Kaylee Korpitz, Maddie Dunn, and Jada Graham also were standout players for me. But again, a lot of really talented players on that pitch over this weekend. A lot of great players to watch.
And just getting back to that Wayne State player, you got Coach Darren Barner out there. Great story. He treats the program, men's and women's, as one program. They train, they do activities together, get that whole community thing going at Wayne State. Great story. All right, in the meantime, we have an interview with Coach Tim O'Brien of the St. Mary's Gales, one of the better teams in college on the American college rugby landscape. So we're going to take a quick break and come back with the interview with Coach O'Brien after this.
Need a great price on a new vehicle? Sheehy makes it easy. Easy Price shows you our lowest prices on the Mid-Atlantic's largest selection. Find your best price online or at any of our 31 dealerships.
It's easy at Sheehy. Sheehy.com.
If you're in New York City and want to watch some great rugby, have some great food, and some great times, go to the world's best rugby pub, the Pig and Whistle on West 36th Street. Okay, full disclosure, this is just a teaser of the full interview with Coach Tim O'Brien. It's a little bit long for this particular show because we talked a lot, but it's only 12 minutes long or 10 minutes long, so make sure you watch it, and here's the teaser to get you to watch it. Would you guys consider ever playing 15s in the fall and 7s in the spring? Giving your brother your playbook? Kind of a stark reality that you seem reluctant to embrace, Coach.
It seems like that we don't have, in my opinion, we just don't really have leadership. No leadership, no direction. Our most valuable asset in the sport is college rugby.
I've been blind since I was 4. And I've never seen a beer commercial or a beer label. None of that stuff influences me. I drink beer because of the taste. And my beer is Pabst Blue Ribbon. It has the taste and the flavor.
What do you think's on the label?
I think there's a naked woman riding on a unicorn, jumping over fire. Oh, that's good beer.
And we are back, and it's time for our favorite part of the show, the YEEEHAAAWWWW Auto Stores pop-up quiz.
It's easy at YEEEHAAAWWW.com.
And we're going to bring in our new correspondent, Olivia Benzan-Daniel, who'll be joining us later with her contributions, but she's joining us now for the pop-up quiz, and this time it's going to be a little different. It's going to be an inspirational quote, gang, and you have to tell us who you think said these words. We work on being the best at the things that take no talent. Josh Rescio.
Danny Barrett.
Zach Lanning.
Is that Al Pacino's character in Any Given Sunday?
Colby Marshall.
Is that Marty Veal?
And OBD, you want to take a stab at this one?
Sure. I'm gonna say Wayne Gretzky.
Or Olivia Benzan-Daniel said this, according to the Free Jacks.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, all right. And that is our YEEEHAAAWWW Auto Stores pop-up quiz of the day.
It's easy at YEEEHAAAWWW.com.
All right, Olivia, we're going to send you back into the waiting room and bring out Josh. Josh, walk us through the men's CRA spring season, if you will.
Well, we're so close to getting back into full swing for the spring season. You know, the temperature's about to rise from 55 normally to 60 degrees. So all these West Coast teams are going to be able to start playing rugby. It won't be too cold for them to practice. St. Mary's, though, as you got to talk to Tim O'Brien, was able to get a pretty normal St. Mary's game, 73-5 over Cal Poly. Last season, they were averaging a couple games where they were scoring 90 plus. So you got to look at this game and just say, 73, they still got some areas they got to work on. St. Mary's, too, they've got some tough games that they're going to be having to have later in the schedule. They have 2 games versus BYU this year, a BYU team that basically didn't let another team score against them and also was putting 60-plus points up a game. So St. Mary's has got a little bit of work to do preparing for those games. And obviously later in the season, they got their game with Cal. But for now, I think we got a normal St. Mary's team on the West Coast just starting their rugby. Also on the West Coast, we covered UCLA last week. And, Harry Bennett clearly was not that worried after that loss to Cal in their preseason tournament. 74-0 over UC San Diego. They look dominant again throughout. And, as we said last week, UCLA in my books is the team that can come back and beat Cal later in the season. I know we always look at St. Mary's, but UCLA, if Harry Bennett can kind of get those guys to put it together, I look when they take on Cal later in the season, that's going to be a much closer game than we saw last week. So
can Harry Bennett put the cleats on and actually play fly half for them?
He may have a year left of eligibility. So if CRAA is willing to make that work, I think it would be worth it to see it.
Can a professional go back to college? No. The answer is no. Continue.
Outside of the West Coast, moving a little bit farther east, not too much farther, Grand Canyon and Utah Valley, a late add to the schedule. 43-5 for Grand Canyon. Grand Canyon throughout the years, since they started playing rugby again in CRAA, has had little glimpse of really great rugby. And Utah Valley has also been a team that over the years has been able to kind of challenge some of those top tier teams that we see coming out of these spring season 15s. Grand Canyon is going to have another tough schedule. They're going to have to go down. They're going to have to play Arizona pretty soon. They also are going to be playing St. Mary's and UCLA later in the year as well. So take a look at Grand Canyon. They're going to have some challenging games. Are they going to be able to step up to the plate? Are they going to be able to kind of like challenge and try and move into that top tier of teams that we've seen kind of year in and year out on the West Coast?
And that's Coach Sean O'Leary, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Believe so.
Yeah, I've spoken to him about it, and what we gloss over in these matches are the bus rides, are long bus rides for a lot of these teams. They're not flying about the country on big expense accounts, folks. They're like taking long bus rides, and when you're talking like Grand Canyon, all these huge states out there with just long rides. Anyway, continue.
Arkansas State decided to go play Dallas Rugby Club for a week, and, they didn't disappoint. 43-19, beating up on the men's club. Aiden Ridgway got a hat trick. So, Arkansas State was able to kind of go into Dallas and really, really come out with a solid performance. Arkansas State's going to have to play Life coming up soon. We've got maybe about one more week about preseason rugby, and then we are back into full swing for college rugby throughout the U.S. At the 15 scale. So, Life versus Arkansas State, see what's going to happen. I think Life's had a little bit of time to rest, and we'll see if Arkansas State can take this momentum from the Dallas game and move that into their Life game. But, really stay tuned, folks, because we got a really exciting slate of rugby coming up come February.
Yeah, some of these big schools are finally going to meet, and we can get to see what happens, and that's exciting.
We take a look at this West Coast, and, we've had to have Cal and St. Mary's at the top of the rankings when we were watching all the fall teams play 15s. Even though Cal and St. Mary's and all these West Coast teams weren't playing, they still sat at the top of the rankings. But again, this year, they're proving why they were at the top of the rankings and why you never take them off. Just dominating performances for a preseason. So it's going to be an exciting time. I know, we still got the playoffs that will come later in the spring. But these are the teams that you're going to probably see, kind of battling it out for a national championship. It's really cool that this year we get to see them play before the playoffs and really get to kind of judge what we think is going to be the best team in the country.
All right, excellent stuff. And we just threw Zach and Colby to the waiting room to welcome somebody that's actually going to bring some class and some intelligence to this show, and that is Olivia Benzan-Daniel. Olivia, just for the folks at home, just a quick bio on you. I've got Holy Cross, Beantown, WPL, and you are the CRAA, the College Rugby Association of America Women's President, correct?
That's correct.
All right, and you're going to be joining us on Rugby Wrap-Up, lending your grace and your knowledge, and this time it's going to be about the women's season upcoming for CRAA. What do you got for us?
Yeah, I'm really excited. Most of our membership plays in the spring, 15s. So we've got Pacific Desert, Pacific Mountain, Capital. They're kicking off the season, trying to get to the playoffs. So we'll be in late April. And then we have our national college championships for sevens in May. So planning for that and getting really pumped and excited for spring and 15s is going to be, it's great. It's working out really well.
So, Olivia, I know that we have some teams in the East or in the colder climes playing their 15s in the fall. Who are the 15s teams that we should circle on their calendars to watch in the spring for CRAA?
Oh, absolutely. I would say Cal Berkeley, and make sure you watch out for Life and Lindenwood.
Life, Lindenwood, Cal Berkeley. Josh, they're the ones we always watch across the board in all the rugby, right?
Same on the men's side. But Olivia, what about my fall teams? I know they've already played their season, but there's got to be some teams coming out of the fall that you're going to want to be watching come playoff time.
Oh, absolutely. I can't wait to see what Navy and Davenport are doing, and at Northeastern up here as well.
Northeastern's also good in the men's side as well. They did pretty well this season. Any particular players that stand out for you going into the spring 15 season?
Yeah, I would have to say Grace Patarini. She's a Northeastern player, and I saw her in playoffs. She's just tactical, knows what to do, great kicker.
Now, for Olivia, for those that are slamming their fists and harumphing outside watching this program because you are basically somewhat biased to the Northeast, to the Boston area, that's
where my heart lies, yeah.
All right. Full disclosure right here on Rugby Wrap-Up. That's OBD, Olivia Benzan-Daniel. Thank you, Olivia. Much appreciated.
Thanks, Olivia.
Thank you.
Zach and Colby are back from the sin bin / waiting room. Guys, before we wrap this up and let folks go on their way, final thoughts, Zach.
Yeah, a little bit outside the college space, but maybe still in there, some college superstars. But if you're not watching the Women's Eagles Sevens team in the HSBC, you are not living. They just won in Spain this last weekend. They're amazing to watch. So much fun. So make sure you're checking that out as well.
Yeah, just to that end, watching against the Russians when it was a close match, and then you just had the one Russian defender in defending her line, and you had Alona Mar with the ball and Nia Tapper outside of her. I'm just like, well, that's unfair advantage and a great
it's game over at that point.
Game over. Colby.
Yeah, really quick, wanted to highlight Chris Stanbeck, a fly half out of Iowa Central. He was a part of the All-Star Shield National Shield Challenge 2 weekends ago. Wasn't mentioned on the top 24, but I think he's a guy that has a lot of talent. And he's a player that is certainly going to be on a lot of boards. He's only a sophomore, has really quick feet, really dynamic with the ball in hand. You saw him find players in space, especially as centers in the All-Star Challenge. So he's a player to watch, Chris Stanbeck at Iowa Central.
Agreed. Great player. Josh.
I know we're a rugby show, but I did just want to take some time to, let my condolences out for everyone that lives in the city of Green Bay, Wisconsin. It's a very tough city to live in right now. And as a 49ers fan, I just really wanted to take the time to give you my condolences. I know it's really tough to lose such a big game when you're the number 1 seed. So we'll carry on your legacy as best we can. And best of luck to you.
Snide, snarky, condescending.
Oof.
Oh, you know what? And you want to feel sorry for a city? How about Buffalo? How about Buffalo if you're going to? Come on, man. 13 seconds.
13
Kick the ball
seconds
on the ground. But I'm going to pick the spirits up a little bit for Buffalo by thanking the guys at the university at Buffalo for giving me this jersey in the lobby down at the All-Star Weekend. It was, and it's not a clean jersey; it's a used jersey, so it's somebody's jersey that they gave me. It's a number 5. I must look like a number 5 to them, but awesome. Thank you, boys. On that note, guys, we are out of time. Well done. Thank you to Olivia for joining us and bringing us up a notch, and thank you for tuning in. Please sign up for our newsletter. Please check out our other segments, including our MLR show, which is back up and firing. And please sign up for our Rugby Wrap-Up American Red Cross Blood Donor Team.